And I'm from Karavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
In the news tonight, TC Yasa rehabilitation phase to begin tomorrow. No reports of disease outbreak. And food ration distribution continues.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Ateda Lendua.
The emergency and recovery phase of TC Yasa is expected to end soon, with the rehabilitation phase to come into effect by tomorrow. Minister for Disaster Management Inia Seruratu says, based on progress in recovery and operations on the ground, they are ready to transition into rehabilitation. Seruratu says they now have a clear understanding of the damage from TC Yasa and the initial relief response as the assessments have been completed. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Minister for Disaster Management says the rehabilitation phase is usually time-consuming and they are working out the finer details of the plan.
We are happy with what has progressed thus far. We have stabilized the situation. We have brought in the immediate essentials, and that is continuing. And of course, we are confident on what has been achieved so far.
Seruratu says with only 3 weeks remaining until the new school year, discussions are underway on the best possible action to take with regards to schools severely damaged by TC Yasa.
Assessments are still ongoing. We have the team from CIU, we have the team from Ministry of Housing, we have the Army engineers, and of course from the asset management team from the Ministry of Education. Schools and other damaged government facilities is in our priority list.
The government is considering deferring the school start date or relocating students from the severely damaged schools in order to stick to the current academic calendar.
The focus now, the RFMF has sent in the first 30-man team. Another 2 30-man team are on standby to be deployed across. Is for us to do temporary infrastructure, even with the use of the tarpaulins that we have.
The 2021 school year starts on January 19th. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
No reports of communicable diseases have been received from the Northern Division 17 days after the passing of TC Yasa. Health Minister Dr. Efiremi Wanganambete says 40 officials were deployed last Thursday with more than 20 tons of medical supplies. Josiah Nanunga reports there were 2 active leptospirosis cases well before the cyclone hit, and the patients are recovering well.
The health minister says they are mobilizing resources to avoid any outbreak of leptospirosis, dengue fever, and typhoid after TC Yasa.
We want to cover all the communities on a level that are likely to be affected, and then later on, after the disaster, the 30 days of disaster, then our teams will continue on with the other communities who may not have been affected. So we want to make sure that we actually reduce the likelihood of communicable diseases happening.
Necessary steps have been undertaken to destroy mosquito breeding places, especially in villages.
We're working with communities right through our level. One of the things that we're working with communities with is to at least clear the villages before we spray. So they're asking us to spray first. We say, no, we have to work together and clear the village first. We need to clear the village first, and then we spray. Because nuisance common mosquitoes, straight out of the cyclone, if you live in the literature around it, they straight out of the cyclones, because of debris, they spring up.
Disaster Management Minister Inia Seruratu, who is currently in Wonuolewo, says they continue to closely monitor the health situation in Madhuata, Mbua and the Konrove.
With the coordination from this office, we have put teams to support the Ministry of Health, like forestry and other manpower that will do the clearing before they come in and do the spraying. Providing access to them through FRA and even CXS, and of course the islands as well.
Work is also underway to ensure all dead livestock is properly buried. Josiah Nanunga, FBC News.
The National Disaster Management Office has received several reports of individuals soliciting payments under the guise of tropical cyclone Yasa relief donations. It says these reports are being investigated to prevent well-intentioned donors from being exploited. All interested organizations, groups, civil society and businesses seeking to collect TC related assistance are advised to register and become NDMO certified. NDMO Director Wasiti Soko says the certification process has no fee. It carries the additional benefit of ensuring that aid is not unnecessarily duplicated and the holistic needs of affected communities are met. Soko says being certified will grant the public the confidence that their assistance is headed where it ought to be. Continued food ration distribution will depend on damage assessments. Minister for Disaster Management, Ines Ratu, says so far the Northern Division has received 22,000 food packs. 12,000 food packs arrived from Suva on Christmas Eve. Kritika Kumar reports.
On Christmas Day, the packs were being unloaded from the boat and onto vehicles for the respective districts.
This is just the recovery rationing for now. Future rationing usually will depend on damage assessments so these are temporary ones. And the whole concept behind this food rationing is food forward. That's the idea behind providing rations during this recovery period, because people don't have time to go and fish, to go to the garden.
Ratu also acknowledged all other agencies and individuals who have provided dried food rations or cooked food to those affected. Fijians living in the Northern Division have acknowledged the support and relief assistance provided by the government so far.
I'm really happy we have been assisted and we also received relief supplies. I thank the government for the assistance.
I'd like to thank the Fiji government for supporting us. They're the first one to come to our doorstep.
We live in the interior and we never expected that the relief supplies will reach us so early. We are very thankful to the government.
The Fiji Sugar Corporation has also provided its new cane trucks to support the ration distribution. Ratu says they have rehired the lorry drivers at their own cost. He has acknowledged the support towards government efforts to help affected Fijians. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Up ahead, relief teams reach Lao Group. And in successful Fijian, factory worker turned bakery owner.
Hi, I'm Ini from Raki Raki. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Fijians in Lakemba, Laos were visited by teams from the Fiji Red Cross who provided relief supplies to families affected by Tropical Cyclone Yasa. Some homes were destroyed during the height of the Category 5 cyclone last week as strong winds and storm surges wiped out livestock and plantations, leaving behind vulnerable Fijians. Kelly Vadala reports.
Help finally arrived on Lakemba in the Lao Group this weekend, bringing affected villagers a sense of security and hope.
The cyclone really made an impact on our village. Most houses are down, including schools. On the week of the cyclone, we kept monitoring the latest weather updates, but we tried our best to prepare for the system because we knew it was going to be another Winston. We had limited time to prepare when we starting to feel the wind direction changed and tidal waves started to come into the village, so we stayed indoors.
Isireli Turanga, whose home was destroyed during TC Yasa, says they had to make do with what was available until help arrived.
I am grateful for the assistance. We need help in getting our lives back on track. My house is completely gone. If you look up the coconut tree, you'll see pieces of my house all the way up there. Those are the only remains I can find, but I know more relief efforts is underway.
Another villager, Timothy Maui, says they moved to a nearby evacuation center after hearing about the severity of TC Yasa.
I had to take my family to the hall and shelter there because our home was not suited for a severe cyclone. After TC Yasa passed, I quickly came out to assess our home, and it was completely destroyed. I had lost hope and thought about my family, but I went back to them and just remained positive so we can get through this.
Teams from the Red Cross, while providing relief supplies, conducted damage assessments and helped clean up the community. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Relief supply distribution and damage assessments were conducted in Vanuatu, Laos this weekend. Government teams, together with teams from the Fiji military forces, distributed food rations to villages severely affected. With majority of homes destroyed by tropical Cyclone Yasa, initial assessments were conducted to ensure structures are built back stronger. Help also arrived in Lakemba, with the disciplined forces distributing ration and helping clearing debris. Fijians affected were grateful for the timely assistance. The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation confirms a good number of small, micro and medium enterprises are bouncing back thanks to the government's concessional loans. Chief Executive Kameli Mbatiweti says most registered MSMEs not only tapped into this initiative, but other forms of assistance such as business productivity workshops. Josaina Nunga has more.
Kameli Mbatiweti says these are drastic measures the government and relevant authorities are taking to cushion the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses.
They were providing, with the support of their business partners, the Australian government, the New Zealand government, the American government, the French government, they provided support through our partners to the MSMEs who were our members. And so they were able to pivot quickly.
He adds they've been receiving positive feedback that the assistance has changed business methods to suit current needs.
So they needed an accountant, BLP, through the New Zealand government provided. They paid a substantial amount to get our MSMEs those advisory services. So therefore our members were able to pivot quickly, but that's not to say they did not take advantage of these concessionary loans. They took advantage of it.
The sale, I've seen the prices, a lot of people are marked down because the business has been slow during the starting of the year due to COVID. So people are recouping on sales. So there are good prices around town, good take advantage of the bargains.
The government earlier confirmed that around $30 million has so far been dispersed under the scheme, with over 9,000 applications having been received from Fijians. Chosayena Nunga, FBC News.
Success doesn't come overnight. It requires focus and perseverance. This has been a motivating component for 39-year-old Rohit Deo, a former machine operator in a factory turned entrepreneur owning Bakewell Cakes. Kritika Kumar with tonight's success story.
Born and brought up in Lambasa, Deo says he never dreamt of running a bakery.
My aim was to be a doctor or teacher or something at that time, but for that reason I had studied a lot and was always good in the school. But as a talent or profession level, I always wanted to do something which I liked passionately.
The father of two experimented with many business ideas before opening the cake shop.
I had to really aim for it, but my aim was for one thing, but in the meantime I owned a taxi business and so many businesses before coming in this business, but my aim and my role for this baking and this love for opening our own cake shop was my future dreams, which is successful now.
After working in a baking factory, Deo was inspired to do something on his own, and he overcame many challenges to reach his goals in life.
At that time, the market for cakes was not that in demand for the people. Like the culture of cake was not so much.
Deo is thankful to his wife, who has been a pillar of support, who stood by him.
Both of our chemistry met at the same time. Since I took over the production side, she took over the sales side, marketing side. So it just, our combination was, I think, good for our business.
Deo believes hardships are the pathways to success and makes a person stronger, a stepping stone to greater heights. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Coming up in sports, Tabwandi dreams big. And young swimmer sets personal goal. There's some more coming up.
हम विनल प्रकाश है गोल्टन तामुआ में रहता है और सबको रेडियो फीजी 2 सुने सबको लाइक करे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
One of the 14 local players in the 47-member Fiji Mbati Rugby League World Cup squad is still coming to terms with his latest achievement. Kaiviti Silktail's rep Apukuki Tabondi says he will grab this rare opportunity with both hands as he works towards making the trip to England next year with the national team. Aquila Dama with the story.
Being named in the Fiji Mbati World Cup extended squad is a milestone achievement for Apukuki Tabondi, and he knows his family is the backbone of his career.
Our family and our village is a big fan of rugby league, and yeah, we are hoping to make a mark again.
The 24-year-old from Burnitu, Nalawa in Ra says this is the first time he has made the national squad. However, he believes it'll take more than a Christmas miracle to book a ticket to the World Cup, knowing the quality of players he'll compete with.
It is a big challenge for me, playing in the Vodafone Cup and going to play in the Ron Messi next year. I think it's going to be a platform.
Tavondi has 7 months to prepare before the FNRL will name the final squad.
We will also be revealing the names of 2 technical advisors who will be close to our head coach ahead of the naming of the final squad on the 27th of July in 2021.
The Fiji Mbati is in Pool B with Australia, Scotland and Italy for the World Cup. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Former Fiji Sevens rep Elia Rana Kaiwata is determined to be a better player for Suva next season.
28 days ago.
This is the 3rd year Rana Kaiwata has been featuring for Suva and has been part of the Skipper Cup winning team since 2018. The 23-year-old flanker from Nabunisole village in Tailevu says 2020 has been quite challenging for him because of the competition for positions in the team on a weekly basis.
There's a lot of flankers in the Suva squad and we fight for one position every week. There are many good players in the squad, so I had to prove myself on a daily basis. Sometimes it's hard because of the competition and battles for the best 23 players to represent Suva every week.
Eden Wangai Nambete may be unknown, but she could become a household name soon in the sport of swimming. The 13-year-old, who set a new record in the 100 meters breaststroke event at the Open Nationals this week, is already eyeing the sport's biggest stage. Aquila Dama reports.
Be determined.
This international school Nandi student is not just an ordinary 13-year-old because she has big dreams.
I want to get a scholarship overseas in the US, and I want to compete in the Olympics.
She took up swimming when she was 5 years old and is coached by Rosemary Rova, who is also the mother of Wangai Nambete's role model.
Cheyenne Ropa? Yeah, because she's been swimming for forever and she's just had so many cool experiences overseas and stuff. And she's now training for the Olympic squad.
Youngsters like this Barracuda's club swimmer has Fiji swimming smiling.
And it's promising also for us to see some of the younger ones really stepping up. So this is good in terms of Fiji swimming's long-term projections for the 2023 Pacific Games also.
Wangai Nambete is one of the exciting young talent that's now expected to feature in the Oceania Championships.
So far for Oceania, we have about 11 swimmers that have done that, but we're also looking for Oceania, it's also the build-up for 2023.
Swimming was the most successful Team Fiji sport at last year's Pacific Games. Aquila Dhama, FBC Sports.
2021 is expected to have a packed calendar for the Fiji Football Association. Despite the challenges brought by the pandemic, Fiji FA managed to wrap up the year with the Vodafone Fiji Fact. There was no football action for 4 months due to the restrictions, and Fiji FA also saw a reduction in sponsorship. The association suffered heavily but completed competitions without reducing the prize money and payment to teams.
Likewise, 2020 will be a very, very busy year. Should the borders open, we've got heaps of international competitions coming our way, and we're trying to ensure that our local competition doesn't suffer.
Leicester City twice came from behind to deny Manchester United a record equalling 11th consecutive away win in the Premier League this morning after the match ended in a 2-2 draw. Occasional rain and few thunderstorms were experienced over the northern and eastern parts of the country. Cloudy conditions prevailed elsewhere, with showers developing. Looking at the west, sporadic light showers on mostly cloudy day. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, occasional showers with the chance of isolated thunderstorms this evening. And up north, thunderstorms are forecast for later tonight. At sea, northerly to easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas, moderate southerly swells. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 4:56 a.m. tomorrow, with low tide at 11:25 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:36. For tomorrow, occasional rain, heavy at times, a few thunderstorms over the Levu, Taviuni and nearby smaller islands, Lau and the Lomaiviti group in eastern parts of the interior of Viti Levu. Cloudy with some showers and isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorms elsewhere. Further outlook, occasional rain, heavy at times, and few thunderstorms over Levu, Taviuni and nearby smaller islands, Lau and Lomaiviti groups, and eastern parts of the interior of Viti Levu. Occasional showers and few thunderstorms elsewhere, with isolated heavy falls likely. Recapping the main stories, TC Yasa rehabilitation phase to begin tomorrow. No reports of disease outbreak, and food ration distribution continues. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we're asking, is Christmas too commercial? Visit our FBC website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, keep safe and good night.
कुमार साहब नायक है गोमगो लेबू लटो का रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे, हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।